And our next section will gonna be called a skills section. So what we need to do over here, maybe we're just gonna create a little bit of less space, right? And over here, what we wanna do is we're just gonna again type generic, right? And we right away have our generic section, right? So we just press enter or tab or however you'd want. And over here, again, we would need to start filling it out, right? So here we have end, right? And here we have the name, right? So here I'm gonna call it this a skills section, right? So we can delete this, right? Name. So we have a skills section. So here ID is gonna be a skills, right? Here we're gonna create the container is gonna stay the same, and here it's gonna be div of class of row. And over here we're just gonna actually write it a little bit differently. We're gonna write it small, and this is gonna be a 6, right? So for a small screen, this is gonna take a half the screen, right? Here we're gonna write a end, right? So this is gonna be end of, right? Let's say, and here we're gonna write end of skills section, right? So after that, once we actually have created this first column, that's gonna be taking 50% of screen, right? So for the starting from the small screen, we obviously would need to create another one, right? So here we're gonna say div, and this is gonna be a div of also that's gonna take a, let's say, half the screen. And over here I'm gonna write a class, right? And I'm gonna say that this is gonna be column small over here, and we're just gonna say 6, right? And we're just gonna add our own class that's gonna be bars, right? And we're just gonna again use this class for styling, right? And over here, the header, probably we should change the name, and we're gonna write that this is gonna be a skills, right? So we don't need to again write it with a uppercase, right? We can just write over here like this, and this is gonna be the same thing, that this is gonna be a skills section, right? Now, after that, over here, we are ready to actually add a progress bars, right? Because this is what's going to be on the other side, right? So if we have half the screen is going to be taking up the skills, right? This pretty much is just going to be our header, right? Then over here we're going to be creating a progress bars, right? And again, the first thing that we want to do is actually create over here the div that's going to be used later on for our animation, right? So what we're going to do is we're just going to place this div, right? And within this div, the first thing that we want to do is actually add over here the heading 4, and I'm just going to say that this is going to be the HTML5, right? So this is going to be our first heading 4. And after that, if we remember Bootstrap, over here we're going to create a div with the class of progress, right? Because if we want to add a progress bar, we're just going to say this is going to be a progress. And over here within this div, we're actually going to create a over here div and class, and this is going to have to be a progress bar, right? So we have a progress bar, and over here the role is also going to be a progress bar, right? Progress bar over here like this. And then we would need to add another attribute, and this is going to be area value now. Okay, value now is going to be 60, right? Let's say that this is going to be a 60%, right? And over here we're going to say that this is going to be area volume, right? Value min over here like this, and we're going to say that this is going to be something like 0. And here we're going to say that area value max, this is going to be another attribute. And this is a little bit annoying typing all this up, but just remember we pretty much need to set only one of them, and then we're just going to copy the next ones, right? And the next thing that we want to do is say that this is going to be style, and we're going to say that this is going to be width, and let's say that we're going to say that this is going to be like 60%, right? So here we type 60%, right? And after that, we can just put a semicolon over here, and we can just close it out, right? And this is our HTML, right? And you can see that it's by default the progress bars are going to be blue like this in Bootstrap. So we have created our first, let's say our first progress bar, right? And what I would want to do over here is obviously I'm just gonna copy and paste them, right? Now we can actually, if we want, we can comment this out, right? So we know that this is gonna be a HTML progress bar, right? because there's going to be a few of them, right? We're going to have a CSS3, we'll have a Bootstrap, JavaScript, and a WordPress, right? And what I would want to do over here is actually, I'm just going to see where my div ends, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, again, double check. So it's over here. And I'm just going to copy this, right? So now we have a next one. And we're going to say that this is going to be a CSS Progress Bar. And what I want to do over here is actually I want to change over here this class, right? So first of all, I want to change the name, right? So I'm going to say that this is going to be CSS3, right? And over here, you see that with this progress, we can actually add a class that's, because I'm going to be using right away a Bootstrap classes, right? So over here, if I write Progress Bar, but then I would just give it a color, Progress, over here, Bar, and here we're going to write Success, right? So now I can see how it actually turned a green, right? Because we used one of those Bootstrap actually classes, right, to actually change the background. Now we can do it with CSS, but just to make this video not everything about CSS, I was just using some of the pre-made actual Bootstrap classes, right? So again, what we do is we check it out where it's actually would end, right? And we just copy it over here, right? So now we have a CSS. So next one, let's say that this is going to be a Bootstrap, right? So over here, Bootstrap, over here, and let's say over here we're going to change it around, and we're going to say that this is not only, this is going to be a Bootstrap, right? But over here we're going to need to change the color, right? So here I'm going to just write that this is going to be Progress Bar info, and you'll see how it changes, right? So it changes to this light blue, right? And over here we're going to say that this is going to be a Bootstrap, right? So Bootstrap over here like this. And you know what, right away let's maybe change around these widths, right? So over here, if we would write a width of 40%, right, this is actually what it would mean, right? That area value and everything, right, it would change around, right? And over here, let's say that we're going to write something like 20, right? So now we have 20, and over here at area value now also we're going to write like 20, right? And now we're ready to actually copy and paste this, right, one more time for a JavaScript, right? So again, we'll just go copy and paste, and here we're going to write a JavaScript, right? This is going to be a JavaScript Progress Bar JavaScript over here like this. And over here, we're going to say that this is going to have a different color. So we're going to say that the actual Bootstrap class would be Progress Bar warning over here like this. And let's just make it that we know JavaScript maybe more. So we're going to write something like 75%, right? So now this is spanning 75, and we're going to write over here this area value also, we're going to write 75. And maybe the last thing that we want to do is, let's say, WordPress, right? So again, we'll just check it out which one this one is. Now again, I could have just copied and saved this since I'm doing this repeatedly, right? But just, you can do it however you'd want. You can just copy and paste it one time, or you can just save it somewhere and then paste it. And here we're going to write WordPress Progress Bar, right? And here we're just going to change it around, and we're going to say that this is going to be a Bootstrap class danger, right? And here what we're going to do is we're going to obviously change it around. We're going to say that this is going to be a WordPress over here like this. And let's say that we really well know the WordPress, so we're going to say 95, right? And area value also is going to be something like 95, right? And that pretty much ends a section, right, for the skills, right? And now we're ready to actually jump to our CSS and style this section, right? So now you can see how it looks. We're obviously going to add some paddings, and we're going to add some margins and all that good stuff, right? And obviously different colors and all that as a background. But just for HTML, you saw how easy it was once we're using this generic section and everything, right? So right now let's go to main CSS and start styling.